Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of our podcast. It's called Is Breakfast Included? How are ya? On the show today, I sit down with my good friend Josh Vittek. Now, Josh has a few different things going on. He has a PR firm called VittekPR, a pickup company called Sheptone, and he has a guitar string company called Frankenstein Monster Gear. He's got his hands in everything. He's a great guy. We talk a little bit about how he got into the PR world, the pickup world, and this new company, Frankenstein Monster Gear. It's a pretty cool story where he came from. We talked a little bit about, his little diversion of being a stockbroker and how he made his way back to the promised land. All right, guys, it's a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's check it out.
Go for it. Let's do it, man.
All right. Tell everyone who you are.
Yeah, my name is Josh Vittek, and I have a public relations and marketing firm called VittekPR. And then I also make guitar pickups and guitar strings under the Sheptone brand and now the Frankenstein Monster Gear brand.
Oh, right on, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
I saw the Frankenstein stuff that you sent me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man. So your PR firm.
Yeah.
What exactly do you do with that?
It's a little bit of everything. And that's why I went with the name public relations, because at the end of the day, it's exactly what it all comes down to is relationships. And so I primarily represent manufacturers in the guitar industry, and the representation varies a little bit. A lot of it is media relations, with product launches, writing press releases, getting products out to the media for product reviews and influencer reviews. And then in some cases, it goes another step further where managing the relationships between the brands and the artists. Each client's kind of different, but that's the general, broad stroke, I guess, of what I do. Underneath that umbrella, sometimes it's managing internal relations, like, with corporate internal documents and shit like that. And then, it doesn't happen a lot in our industry, but if someone gets in trouble, sometimes I get dragged in to kind of help, redirect the ship or redirect attention to something else. And
so you're not just like an A&R guy for a company.
No. And I'm not at all. In fact, right now, that is the least of what I'm doing right now.
Uh-huh.
But, don't get me wrong. That's the coolest part, right? That's what everyone wants to hear about.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear about the last press release I wrote.
No.
Everyone wants to know what show were you at and what happened.
Yeah.
So,
did you meet Slash?
Yeah, exactly. All that shit. What are they like?
So all the stuff you sent me when we were working together or last year, you wrote all that, like the press release for the Trace Elliott stuff.
Oh yeah.
Do you have the gear with you, and do you play the gear to kind of find out, like to make the press release? Is what I'm saying. To be familiar with it.
I prefer to. That doesn't always happen, especially since COVID. It's almost been impossible because everybody is so far behind on production. Stuff that we were planning to launch. We went into NAMM 2020 and not with Trace Elliott, but also PV, Court, Dean Guitars, and a whole bunch of other manufacturers, right? Debuting samples and products at the show that come March 2020, when everything got shut down, all production came to a halt. And then, therefore, I think you guys even had problems with containers at one point, right? When you guys started ramping up the tours, but you just couldn't get stuff. So we are literally, in some cases, still 2 years behind. We're in 23. Some of my clients are just now getting physical product of stuff we launched in 2020. And so I had to write press releases without product. But, I've been in the industry basically my entire life. I'm a player and I know pretty much all my clients' products. So I kind of know what's what. So if I have to improvise or reimagine something, it's not that difficult. Yeah. Right. So I would ideally like to have the gear though, because it just makes it I feel it makes it a little bit better of a press release when we do write it and put it out there. It's not so corporate and generic.
Yeah, it's like you've had your hands on it. how difficult was that for you and your email account when that happened and it's so far behind production? Like, or guys like me just constantly hammering you like, dude, where is this stuff?
You know what? I'm very fortunate in the people that I do get to work with now, are like yourself, professional. They're well aware of what the hell's going on. And also at the same time, I'm on my side trying to stay ahead of the curve with you guys. Cause I mean, we all didn't know when that shit happened. Again, this story everyone keeps telling, we
Yeah.
didn't know. So we were all just kind of winging it and giving everything giving our best guess as to what was going to occur. So it was hectic. It was crazy. And it
Yeah.
wasn't so much on from the artist side and the tech side. The chaos was really again on the production side because the other issue was then everybody started hoarding shit, right?
Yeah.
Because again, stuff that not unique to our industry, like copper and circuit boards and chips for digital amplifiers and stuff like that that are used in automobiles and everything else around the world. Those huge manufacturers started hoarding everything and just bringing everything in and hiding it from everybody else. So the chaos was more in my case was on the client side and the manufacturing side.
It's that was a crazy time. How did you get into this business, man? Like, I should have asked you that first. Like, how did you get into I mean, there was times when I was younger, when I was younger, that I wanted to be an A&R for a record label, but I didn't know how to go about doing that. How did you get into this business of being, the representative for the companies?
Literally on the AR side, I was a mouthy little cocky pain in the ass who thought I knew different or knew better rather than the current guy that was doing it at Carvin. And so they eventually just said, you think you know what the fuck you're doing, do it.
And
But
did
I
you?
mean, there's a lot that there's a lot that leads up to it, right? I mean, I don't know how far back you want to go. I mean, music's been a big part of my life. It always has been from the day I was born. I mean, my dad's a huge music fan. Growing up, music was played in the house all day long. He was always spinning records, and they were cranked. And um, their fondest memories of me are rocking out in the back seat of the car to Elton John and Crocodile Rock. That's their favorite story. But I started tinkering. My uncle gave me a guitar, and instead of learning how to play it, I took the damn thing apart. So he went and got me another one, and I took that one apart. And so an aunt on my mom's side worked at Carvin on the production side, and she would just start bringing me stuff home, harnesses and shit like that for guitars, and I just tweak with things. And that was also at the same time Eddie Van Halen's doing the same shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was more interested in tweaking the guitars than really like playing. I mean, I played, but that just really fascinated me. And so right out of high school, I went to work the production lines at Carvin, taking apart X100Bs and the big old FX and MX mixing consoles and repairing them and tweaking them. And I eventually started assembling them and testing them. And, I left to go get a real job. I thought I needed a real job and became a stockbroker. And that sucked. And, that's just not me. And if I was going to waste 12 to 16 hours a day doing something, I just went back to Carvin. And the plan was I was just going to work the factory during the day and gig at night,
Yeah.
And then I just started sticking my nose in other departments and, being a nuisance until they taught me more and just kind of kept going my way through. Moved eventually off the factory floor to sales and then international distribution. And then they put me in inventory management, and then I became a buyer. And then from there, again, kind of getting mouthy one day about an artist issue, they ultimately ended up giving me the artist relations and marketing job. You know, that's kind of where it starts. I gone up the flagpole. It's a family-owned business. I couldn't get any further in the company. I'm not family, so I left to
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
guitar. By that time I'm 28. Our daughter's old enough. She's now 10, 11 years old. So I felt it was safe to make that run at being a musician before I get
Mm-hmm.
too old and regret it. Right. I leave to do that, and I'm working in Southern California and, doing fine. But my left hand is starting to not work. I would do 3 to 5 jazz casuals a day and then teach in the afternoon, and my hand was starting to fail on me. And then, I don't know, a couple years into it, Gary Kaler of Kaler Tremolos called. He got the rights back to his company. He needed to put it back. And a guy by the name of John Levy, who was a Guitar Player magazine at the time, recommended me. And I went to work for him, just help put that back together for him. And in the process of doing that, when I'd reach out to guitar brands to put the Kalers back on, I'd write the press releases announcing that Kaler's now available on this guitar, and then they would see the impressions and their volume and sales increase because of that. And obviously that put me in with some artist relation stuff again, and it just kind of grew. And then all of a sudden the side business from all these other guitar brands that I was helping out was paying more than the day gig at Kaler.
Yeah.
And so in 2008, I officially went out on my own as VittekPR. And so, I think my first press release was from Elliot Rubinson over at D-Drum announcing the Vinnie Paul had came over to them and announcing the new signature kit. So that was a great way to start off the business.
Man. Yeah.
That's a pretty solid press release to kick things off with.
Yeah. I bet you're proud of that one.
Yeah, I am, man. It was cool because, again, and in fact, Sterling was there when this happened. I'd been entertaining the idea. Some of the other people were kind of telling me this is maybe something I should do. And I was kind of, I was scared. I didn't know what a PR guy was. But we were at a NAMM show and I talked to Elliot and I asked him what he thought. And he just kind of laughed, said, the only way you're going to find out is if you do it. And when you decide to do it, call me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. So anyways, but yeah, it's cool. And like I said, it gives me the warm fuzzies to go back every time I stumble across that photo or those first press releases or whatever, when they pop up every once in a while on the internet and shit like that. So yeah, it's cool.
It's cool, man. Yeah. It's similar. I'm not going to say it's similar to me, but I had never planned on this, and
right.
I fell into it and then got offered it. And I think you said you listened to I went to a tarot card reader. Like, that's how desperate I was to find out if this was going to be. And I don't believe in any of that, but that was my last straw. Like, everyone will tell you, like, oh, dude, just do it. But I had a job with insurance and I was a single dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I went on. This woman who read my cards and said, you're not only going to do well, this is for you, you're going to do this. And that's, I rolled the bones on that, man.
But again, because when I listen to your stories, and for the most part similar, because again, you're scared shitless, right? Because it doesn't make sense. Totally. Right? Really? You're going to fucking go chase this music dream, half-assed music dream? You're not even the fucking musician. You're not even in charge. And you're going to go try this shit out? You're going to put your family at stake, your kid, and again, like you. I mean, what shit? We were, like I said, I was 28, so our daughter is 10, 11 at the time, and we were 17 when we had our daughter. So we've been fighting our asses off just to stay ahead and stay afloat from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, for my wife to say, just do it, and then, holy shit, now she's like, yeah, do it. That's pressure, man.
Yeah.
But it's
pressure, but it's also, like you say, cool pressure. It's like,
cool
okay,
pressure.
now the whole team's on board.
Yeah, she's on board. And, she's always said, she'll live in a cardboard box with me as long as we're together. And that's fucking amazing. But we never got there. We got close a couple of times. But, so again, that's how it kind of ended up here. Like you said, it wasn't the plan. I had every intention of getting like a real career, like becoming an accountant, nice, safe, solid job where I always knew I could have a job, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe even like go to school and be an attorney or something that could pay bills and shit. But man, I signed up for classes probably for a good 3 years straight in college, and I just could never finish a semester, man. I couldn't go to class, and I needed to go work.
Yeah.
So again, it worked. It stuck out, and there's a whole bunch of other things that fall into place along the way. But it's definitely not something I went to school for and planned on doing. But it makes it, when you look back, when you reflect back, it kind of it all makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man, I get it. It's one of those things like I don't know what I'd do if I didn't start doing this. I don't know where I'd be or if I'd even be here
Right.
had I never started that, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't take it for granted at all. You know?
No, 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 no. I
I
mean,
meet people like you, you know. I think you
no,
and I met in 2020 at NAM briefly
that's right. Stacy
through
and yeah,
Stacy and
yeah,
Ben introduced
yeah.
us.
Stacy introduced us, man.
And it was just like hey, this is Josh. Josh, this is Bernie.
Yeah,
That's it. Okay, I'll call you. And then
yeah,
we didn't connect again till 21.
yeah,
Like once everything was over, we started. I
yeah.
mean,
When things started ramping up on your end,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
But my we won't get into how we why we started talking, but the fact that what we started on didn't work out. Like I consider you a friend, man.
Well,
First and
likewise,
foremost, you know,
and that's again what I hinted at the beginning. That was my oh shit. I gotta be mindful, right? I mean, again, we could be on here for the next 4 hours shooting the shit, and I try. I got to do my best to stay on task for the
yeah,
most part. I want it to be authentic as well,
yeah,
but yeah, you're a fucking friend, dude. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Dude, there are cats that I deal with, and I won't say any names, even though I should. There are cats that I deal with in this industry. I have their numbers, and the only time I hear from them is when I'm coming through town.
Of
But
course, yeah,
you and I text all the time, whether it
right,
be business or not, or me just having a question, or you making fun of
yeah.
me because I got this new piece of gear that I can't work and I can't figure out, you know?
but and again, it's a testament to who you are as well. Basically what you said earlier, but I mean, yeah, that's also what makes working in this industry so fucking awesome.
I know, right?
Because there are those people like you, and there are others who, man, we all lead with our hearts, dude. And there's we have to deal with bean counters on occasion. Whatever. The good news is they usually just come and go. That is just the coolest part, and it's on all levels. It's on the tech side, the backline crew, even on the AR side, and on the production side, the manufacturing side, and the artist side. But on the manufacturing side, guys like um, Dean Zelinsky, who started Dean Guitars, or even Gary Kaler, or Dean Markley. Dean, those dudes are not businessmen. They were artists trying to, make a living doing their art. In Zelinsky's case, building a guitar, in Dean Markley's case, selling strings. I mean, he had a
Yeah.
store beforehand too, but in Gary with his bridges, and those guys so lead with their heart, and I just love that about those guys, man. But anyhow,
Yeah, that was one of the first people that I admired that I met was Dean Markley. A friend of mine introduced me to him, and he was so human to me.
yeah.
I was green, I was young,
Mm-hmm.
and meeting him, and he just wanted to talk about nothing, and it was
That's
so
what I
cool to
love
me. Like,
about Dean, right?
this is a guy who had used his strings, and it was this
Yeah.
iconic name,
Yes.
and he's asking me about me,
Uh huh.
you know. But
No, I mean,
yeah,
again, I love that about Dean. And I mean, we can talk shop, and again, he's been around long enough, and he come with some pretty bitchin' marketing plans and product. But the cool thing is, he's also just a normal human being. Just like I
he's
said,
not
he
in the
has a
room.
passion.
Exactly. He's not in the room to impress you,
Fuck no, no, no.
And you always know those guys that are in the
Yeah,
room
oh,
that
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But anyways, again, I mean, that's again going off on a tangent, but that is what I love about this industry. And sometimes I will admit, I'll get frustrated, and I was like, shit, I should probably be making more money by now and all that crap. And I'll start looking at outside opportunities. And it's just like, no way, dude. I mean, I just love it, man. Again, there's people like yourself and others, and you can't, I've never seen it elsewhere. There's something
Yeah.
similar in the bicycle world. Those guys are, because you got a wide variety too, just like we do in the music world and the bicycle world. You got the BMXers, the roadies, the mountain guys, and a lot of them are freaks just as well as our artist friends. But again, it's anyways. I'm rambling. I fucking love it.
Well, man, you also have a pickup company called Sheptone.
Yeah.
What got into you to do that?
Yeah, you don't shit, man. Well, it goes back to the beginning where, working on production lines, and I've always just kind of been a tinkerer. Again, I'm not an engineer. You put a schematic in front of me, I have no idea what the fuck it says. I just learned really quick, just kind of like with my dad, when something needed to be done around the house, I was his assistant. So whether we needed to build, if we needed a patio, we went and fucking built it. If the engine needed to be taken out of the van, we took it out of the van. And so I guess the idea of you can do that has always been in my skull. And so I've never been afraid to take something apart and put it back together. And so one of the cool parts about Carvin was as towards the end when I was there and I'm doing the marketing and the artist relations and all that front office stuff. The cool part is we were small enough to where the factory was like right behind me, and hanging out with the engineers and R&D and new designs and shit like that was right outside the door. We can go tinker with shit and move things around and swap speakers. And we had Billy Gibbons come in one day and we were fucking around with some amps, and he was like, well, what if we let's I like it, but what if we change out some speakers? And so I missed that part of it. I wasn't involved on that side anymore. It was just more the artist relations, and the PR side was all the front office shit. And I just kind of I was getting bored. I needed something to do with my hands. And so Shep of Sheptone was a client of mine. And, I was doing his PR for him and whatnot when he first kind of came out. And he was looking to sell it. And what had brought it up was at that time, new people buy Dean Markley.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, there was an issue where when the new people bought Dean Markley, the people who were actually making the sound hole pickup for him left. And so there was no information on how to keep making that. And so I had to come in and help reverse engineer that. And in doing so, got my father-in-law involved in making it. And so anyhow, Shep had reached out saying, hey, do you guys maybe want to buy this? And so at the time they were kicking ass with the Dean Markley stuff. So I bought it, and it just gave me that opportunity to use my hands again. Right.
Yeah.
Not that I'm some fucking badass guitar player, but playing just, I wasn't interested in learning anything new. I kind of know what I want to know. I just want to now pick up a guitar, hammer out a couple tunes, and move on. I don't need to master anything. So the guitar wasn't doing it for me anymore. And I knew a little bit about pickups from working at Carvin, because that's how Carvin, the company, was originally founded in '46 when Lowell Kiesel was making pickups in his backyard and selling them for lap steel guitars in an ad in Popular Mechanics. So he would sell stories with me, share stories with me. And I liked what Shep was doing. And it was just something that, I knew I could manage on my own. So I went up over a couple weekends towards the end of the year there and kind of learned how exactly he was doing it and ended up buying it from him, and again, it feels that need for me to still be tinkering with something.
Yeah.
But it's also not so big and so time consuming that it prevents me from, because I like this side of it too. You working with you guys and the artists and doing the PR and the product releases and product reviews. It's, I like doing a little bit of everything. So that's how I ended up getting it. And of course, Shep had really mastered that PAF tone and that pickup. He has that down. So I didn't want to change any of that. Left all that alone. All the table that his machines are mounted on, the solder irons, I haven't changed a damn thing. But there were other designs that I had in mind that I always wanted to do for me as a guitar player. And so, I just kind of use that as the foundation to kind of start doing that. And, with Sheptone, stuff like the Wanker, that's mine. And it's not on the website, but I have another model called the Plank Spanker, just doing shit like that. And so that's why I get into it, and that's what I do with it. And I like it. I like keeping it, I have no aspirations of making it some big ass company like, a Seymour Duncan or DiMarzio. I like being able to talk with the customer. I mean, the customers can order right off the website, right? But once in a while, someone will come in and, yeah, hey, I got this guitar and it's doing this, and I don't want it to do that. I want it to sound like this. And, I like going out there in the shop in the morning and finding something to help them solve that problem,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what led to Doyle with the Von Frankenstein stuff. I'd worked with Doyle for many, many years, Gene Markley, and before that, when I had a client called October Guitars out of Maryland that they were trying to do his signature model guitar way back in like 2008 or something like that. So he and I go back quite a bit. He was experiencing things that he was trying to get something out of his tone that he couldn't find elsewhere, and so I started dabbling with a pickup for him, and that kind of led to the conversation that's on strings. And so one thing led to another, and we ended up doing the Von Frankenstein Monster Gear strings, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, he beats the living shit out of those strings, man. But
Yeah.
he also requires them to sound good and to feel good. So it's easy to make a string that'll take a beating like that, but they do sound like shit. I mean, you have to change the tensile strength of the metal and all that shit, but then they sound like crap. And Doyle knows the difference. So it took a little while to dial that in, but wasn't anything magical or anything like that. It was just really just kind of doing things the right way. Like
Yeah.
anything else, taking the time to do it right with the best materials you can, and that usually solves all your problems.
Yeah.
And that was the case with the strings as well. So that's kind of how I get into it. And like I said, it feeds that tinkering, needing to use my hands a little
Yeah.
bit.
What's the percentage of time you spend with Sheptone and the strings versus the PR gig?
It really fluctuates. I mean, if we look at the whole year, it ends up being about 50-50, you know. And I'm I get to kind of control it, and the customers on the Sheptone side know that I'm building them to order. So most of them know. Um, most of them have no problem waiting a week to 6 weeks to get a pickup that's being built for them. Um, but in the big picture, it's 50-50. In when we come into we get into October, almost nothing gets built as far as pickups because everyone's ramping up for NAMM on my PR side. And again, it's been different for the last 3 years, but up until 2020, from October to the end of January, it's all NAMM show.
Yeah.
And it's just press releases and media and getting corralling all the artists and getting everyone on the same page. But then there's a big surge from March to May. Everyone gets their tax returns. Everyone has their Christmas money. Everyone has their leftover money from whatever, and so it kind of rotates.
Yeah.
And then by summer, it kind of flattens out again. Like I'd say by the time we get through this week, I'll be back to 50-50 again.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but again, I like that chaos. It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this, man. You don't have you can answer it without offending me. What is it about guys like me what's your biggest pet peeve about cats like me? Like techs? Is it like the hey, I want something and I want it now. I need it yesterday.
There are those guys, right? And I'm trying to think. In fact, I can think of an artist who's gone through techs, and his techs always come to me for the same. But now the artist knows, like, don't even bother because I won't even take it anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm very fortunate in all of my clients that I've had. I've really not had to deal with those techs or artists, or I've been in a position to tell, no, you're just not that important. I mean, because fuck, I don't know if I should say that, but look, I mean, an artist is only as important and relevant as you choose to make that artist from the brand's consideration, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few exceptions to the rule where there is just an artist above and beyond all other artists. The reality is those are very, very few. And, I mean, I can't think of an example. I wish I could give you an example right now, but but that's just it. From the brand's perspective, if I'm promoting a product, the artist, I usually have a couple options of who I could go with to sell that product. So, if they or their team are a pain in the ass, we just move on. I mean, that's just a shitty reality. Is there's other fish, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And uh, again, the one artist that I was thinking of, I've literally up and probably to about 10 years ago, I would run into him at every brand I represented, even at Carvin. And when I first inherited the Dean Markley account, and this is around 2012, I mean, within the first week that I was doing artist relations, this guy's tech calls and says, "Hey, we need 200 sets of bass strings overnighted." I'm like, "You do?" I'm like, "Why?" "Oh, well, we're going on tour." And I'm like, "Dude, no, you're not. I'm looking at the website right now, and I mean, you guys haven't toured in like the last 10 years."
Yeah.
But I'd already known they would get gear and sell it on eBay and shit like that. And so, and plus, you don't need 200 fucking sets of bass strings, you lying
Mhm.
piece of shit. um I mean, the only one who goes through 200 sets of bass strings is Nikki Six, and the only reason Nikki goes through 200 sets of bass strings because at that last tour he had that stupid water pack shit on his back that was shooting out red fluid on stage, and that was getting all over his bass. I mean, no one goes through 200 sets of bass strings.
How often does that happen where you kind of know that this gear is getting sold, or you know
I honestly have not ran into that problem in at least 5 years. And maybe it's just again because I did a good enough job and I had the ability, the permission from my clients to do so, that if I had any indication or feeling that was occurring, that I can call them out on it. And because again, the artist is only as relevant as we choose to make them. I mean, and the artist can say the same thing, right? I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah,
instrument is only as relevant as they choose to make it too. So,
exactly.
so I mean, I'm not. That's just the way it is, and so I haven't experienced that in a very long time. Actually, I can think of some guys towards the end. One of the last Warp tours,
That was about
some fuckers took me for 5 guitars. And if I can remember their band's name, I would tell them. I can see their fucking faces because I was on their bus with them. If I don't remember before we get off the phone, I will text it to you. We can put it in the liner notes because I have no problem with it. That pissed me off because the guitar manufacturer was really excited about it. I was really excited about it, and they were on the trajectory, man. They were going up, man. They were kicking ass. They were doing all kinds of cool shit. And that was I don't know if you've ever done a Warp tour, but when they would come into San Diego the night before, they'd have the day off and they do a big bowling tournament for the Martelli Foundation Cancer, raise money for cancer and all that shit. And I was hanging out with them the night before, everyone all nice, and I'm like, dude, I mean, I can't. I'm still obviously. You invest that much time in me just to get those?
right.
I mean, it's like, damn, dude. I mean, I kind of feel special, but really, but it also pissed me off. But I think that was kind of the last, and that was the artist. It wasn't even the text. But I think maybe it's just that maybe I've just been around long enough now, and I've had the relationships long enough to where that just it just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah,
And if I'm dealing with because again, your bosses wouldn't tolerate that, right?
yeah,
And so a lot of the artists I now work with are of that level. And in most cases, that artist has a tech that's been with them for a substantial amount of time. And so I don't have to deal with it. And I don't have to deal with a whole lot of younger up and coming bands or techs trying to prove themselves anymore.
yeah,
So maybe that's part of it,
yeah,
but nah. Like I said, I just there's just no need to do it.
yeah. I hear you, man. I hear this whole time. I was like, I hope he remembers me.
But you know who it is?
Oh,
4 Years Strong. The band
oh,
called
okay.
4 Years Strong.
I'll hashtag him.
Yeah, hashtag them, fuckers. But yeah. I mean, in fact, I even used them in another ad for another. Yeah, fucking pissed me off. But anyway, got a full page, ran some full page ad with another brand. No, fuck it. No, I won't say the brand but anyways, uh, yeah, that's who it was. I don't know what they're doing anymore. I don't know. Yeah, they may be big, huge, and famous now, but I don't know, but
I've only heard that name because I am in the industry. Like
yeah, right.
you hear. Well, man, what do you any plans for Sheptone or the strings coming up? Anything you can talk about?
Well, we got a couple things like, again on Sheptone, I've been lagging, and so I have that plank spanker coming out, and that is basically, everyone associates it with Keith Richards, which is, Keith always goes out and he likes to take the old Fender lap steels from the late 40s and take the pickups out of those and put those in his tellies, and that was wound way hotter than a telly pickup that everyone's used to hearing and whatnot. And that was actually in the very, very first runs of Broadcaster and whatnot. Over the years, I've had guys, ask for that. And there's a number of guys who have them. Charlie Starr of Blackberry Smoke has a couple. I just sent him another one. Keith Nelson, big record producer, was with Buck Cherry for a long time. Steve Travato, who, in the world of tellies, he's a hotshot telly dude. Brian Kahanik has one.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. He was down there in your neck of the woods for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kahanik has one. I work with him quite a bit. I think again, a couple other guys have them. Then customers have asked them. So I've always built them. And so I'm just finally getting around to launching it and debuting it. So that'll come out. I have I want to call it street. There's a street artist by the name of Downtimer. He was big. He's kind of out of the scene now, but I had him hand paint some pickup covers for me, and to me, that's just kind of gonna be fun. He's like a street artist out of the Bay Area for the late '90s, 2000s. To me, that's just gonna be fun. And then I have something like I've alluded to you before. We had talked about the Seymour Duncan JB1 in the past, and I have something that I think can kick its ass. So I've done prototypes, but every time I build a prototype, it ends up going to someone's guitar. Which is great, right? It's very flattering. That's the shitty thing. That's the most frustrating thing about Sheptone is there are a lot of big name people who play Sheptone products, but they pay for them.
Yeah.
With the intention of, I'm not allowed to use their name because they have endorsements by other people.
Yeah.
That's cool, right? I'm honored, I'm proud, but fuck, I'm trying to grow my company, damn it. Help me out. So that's what's going on with Sheptone. And a lot of time has been spent dialing in this pickup for Doyle. Because what he's wanted is it's a fucking tall order, man. And we got it. It's so fucking close. The 5 guitars he has out with him have the last prototypes. So I think we're there. Whether or not I can get it, he has some very small minor tweaks, and I think I can get it. And so we're waiting for see if I can figure that out before I launch it. I really wanted to launch it in August before we get into the holiday season.
Yeah.
That's my plan. I don't know. Again, it's going to be tough because he doesn't have a whole lot of shows between now and then. And that's kind of the thing, this, rehearsal spaces, practicing rehearsal spaces, no matter how hard you try, it's still not the show.
Yeah.
Right. And especially when it comes to him, because his stage volume is so fucking loud. And especially when he's just doing his Doyle band. Because not only is he so fucking loud and every one of those damn cabinets is live, but the stage is a hell of a lot shallower than his Misfit stage, and he has floor wedges. And so, he wants to be able to hear it when he's on that stage, and it's just making me work a little harder. But,
it'll be worth it though, right?
I think so. Because again, he has looked to try and find someone else who had done it before, and it's not on the market, and no one really wanted to go down that rabbit hole, and rightfully so, because it is a pain in the ass. One of the things that I do as Sheptone is I'm not making product for the beginner guitar player, I'm not making product for the average guitar player. My product is for the professional guitar player. And I mean, I guess that sounds a little pompous and arrogant, but that's just the reality. I mean, that's the client who can hear the difference. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we put
The guy who knows what he wants already.
well, and can hear it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking the most minute differences, but when you have an artist like the guys you work for, and or again, because we're talking Doyle, I mean, shit, Doyle has played 100 to 250 gigs a year for the last 40 fucking years. This guy knows what his sound is like, and he knows what he wants. You know, I mean, the kid who's just playing guitar, no, he's not going to hear the difference when I switch out this magnet. You know, and he's not going to hear the difference if I change the coating on this wire. But Doyle will,
Yeah.
and you know, Kahanic will. I mean, you know, Kahanic hears everything. You know, and I don't know when you've talked to him last. You know, but I mean, shit, that guy's was doing sound production engineer in Hollywood for a long time before what he left there a couple years ago. But you know, those guys hear the difference. And again, the beginning kid and the soccer mom strumming chords. I love you, but you know, you want to buy my product, go for it. That's cool. But you know, again, I'm building product for those guys, and it takes a little time. And you know, there is a difference. You know, you talk to people. You know, there's a difference when Seymour winds you a pickup as opposed to one that you just buy off the shelf.
Yeah.
There just is. Again, most people won't know. 99% of the people in the world who play guitar will never hear the difference. But there are players like the Jeff Becks and all those guys of the world who will, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it does. Like I was fortunate, my first gig ever in this industry was working for what I refer to these guys as tone heads.
Yeah.
He heard things no one heard, and he taught me what to listen for. Like I was completely ignorant to all that, but he, you know, I'm thankful, even though now like I work for a guy who knows what he wants, knows, you know, and so I know how to give that to him.
Correct.
But when I go to do a gig for a guy who's very like I said, a tone head, I understand the language that he's speaking to me because of this guy. And I'm very thankful for that. Did it drive me crazy? Every fucking show, it drove me crazy. You know?
Right, but it makes a difference. You saw that in how that artist plays.
Yeah.
Right.
Once it clicked on me, and once I heard the things he was talking about, and he taught me how to listen for him and taught me how to correct them, and you know, yeah. But he would come up and this is a crazy example. He would come up to the talk back and say, "Hey, did we use the same power strip that we always use?
Yeah.
Did they drop the same power box that we use every day?" And and then I'd get back there and I was like, "Oh shit, it's a different power box." That kind of stuff, you know.
But the thing is, again, at that level, those minute details make a difference on how that artist performs on stage.
Yeah.
Right, because they play different, because they feel it different, and again, it's just like action. I think we were talking about action, on you know, last time we were talking about strings, and you know, I know one artist. He changes. You know, he leaves the truss rod off, and he changes his fucking truss rod in the middle of his sets. He adjusts his goddamn truss rod in the middle of his sets. And I'm like, dude, like whatever. But anyways, I mean, you know, again, when they're at that level, those little details make all the difference in the world. And it comes through in how they play and how they sound. And it makes the world of difference. And so, you know, again, rambling a bit, but that's the shit I get off on when I get a chance to work with, you know, an artist. You know, again, Charlie Starr calls and says, "Hey, you know, I'm chasing this. I want to try and get this, and I'm close, but I'm missing this." There's nothing fucking cooler than going out into the shop and winding it and then sending it over to him and waiting to hear back, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the coolest shit. And most of the time I get it right. You know, sometimes, you know, one of the guys will come back and like, yeah, you know, they'll be like, "Yeah, no, we went the wrong way." It's like, okay. But you know what to tweak, and it's all good, man. I mean, it's anyways.
Right on, man.
Did I even fucking answer your question? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, where can people find you online? Where can people find the Sheptone? And I don't know if you want to put out your PR stuff online.
No, you can follow the PR stuff. I mean, it's all industry stuff, but you can VittekPR.com. That is kind of where you can kind of see the history of my, from working the production lines and seeing all the artists and whomever I've represented, whether it be brands or artists. And so V as in Victor, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, K, PR.com. And likewise on all the social medias, the handle is VittekPR. For Sheptone, you can go to Sheptone.com. There's not a whole lot of story on the website. It's just really about the pickups, and it's kind of just on purpose because that's what it's all about. It's the pickups,
Yeah.
And I intentionally kind of people know, and I'm okay with that. I mean, yeah, I'd like to get it a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not trying to build some big corporation out of that.
Yeah.
And then with the new collaboration with Doyle is Frankenstein Monster Gear.com. It's a long ass name, but it works. And we have all the strings. With Frankenstein Monster Gear, we're having a blast because that dude's the greatest AR rep in the world. He calls anybody and everyone answers, right? I mean, shit. He's like, "What do you think about this artist?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then he'll text me back an hour later. "Yeah, I just spoke with him. He's coming." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Shit. We're having fun there, right? I mean, because we're getting again all the artists who are really passionate about what they do, and so we have the guys with Life of Agony out of New York, the old hardcore scene.
I love Life of Agony.
Yeah, we got Alan. We just did his stainless steel bass strings, and Joey Zampella. We got him 2 strings, 2 sets. Jeff Loomis, Nevermore an Arch Enemy. Completely different. That's what I like about the collection of artists right now that we got. I mean, Jeff is a totally different player compared to Doyle or Joey Zampella, and then we also got Gary Holt, Slayer, Exodus.
Yeah.
And again, so we have a good variety of players, but all the dudes are good dudes. They're passionate dudes. They're easy to work with. Again, they're mindful. They're not calling me the day before their tour and asking for, again, 200 sets. They're all kind enough to be, "Hey, man, I'm going on tour in 3 months. I just want to give you a heads up."
Yeah.
And again, on my side, I'm also smart enough to look at the website and see when they go on tour, so I know when to have their shit ready, right? Von Frankenstein Monstergear.com. I think it's Von Frankenstein Monster Gear and all the socials. That one's a little more fun just because I can be a little more public with all the artists I work with. On the Sheptone side, a lot of them I have to keep quiet.
Yeah.
But follow along with any of that stuff.
Oh, right on, man. Well, Josh, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. I know it was last minute, but thanks a lot.
But I'm honored. I mean, I'm stoked. I hope you have something useful out of all this.
Oh, no, I do. It's great, man. It's great hearing your history. Like I said, you and I met 2020 briefly, and we've mainly got to know each other through text and phone calls.
Well, and again, I know we're good enough, but again, it also goes down to, we know if Stacy wouldn't have introduced us, if she did not think highly of us, either one of us, right?
I'd like to think so.
Right? So I mean, again, I know that, and Stacy, I love you. I've been. But I mean, she's just another one of those people like you. Good people in this industry that have been there, and she's just the real deal. I mean, and anyone she's brought to the table at any time throughout the time I've known her, it's just always good people.
Yeah. I know your name came up the night I met her. Like, she was asking, "Do you know this person?" Because Stacy and I realized that we had somehow crossed paths in our early ages. we ran around in the same crowd, the same clubs, and then it became like, well, do you know this person? Do you know this person? And your name came up.
So anyways, no, I appreciate you taking the time and let's figure out maybe we can get it ourselves to a point where we can do some trash talking on the next one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'll text you tomorrow and tell you an idea I have.
Okay. All right, man.
But anyway, it's called Is Breakfast Included? If we were having breakfast, what would you have?
Every time I listen to a podcast and I think about it, I'm like, fuck, what am I going to say? That'd be awesome. But I will tell you, the reality is for the last 3 breakfasts I've had, let's say Monday, right? Yeah. So Sunday, Saturday, Friday, it's been chicken fried steak, egg sunny side up,
nice,
with wheat toast. I don't know what it's been, man, but yeah, that's what that's the way it's been going.
Nice.
So
that's what. Those are my younger days.
Yeah, I'm feeling it today. But anyways, yeah, and nothing too sexy, nothing too glamorous. That's kind of what it's been. If I get out of the house, that's what I'm going for. Because that shit I ain't getting that shit here at home. That's for damn sure. Well,
right on, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and man, it was good talking to you.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Bye. Josh Vittek. Pretty cool guy, huh? Pretty interesting journey there. If you want to find out more about Josh and his past or his history, check out VittekPR.com, VittekPR on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to know more about Sheptone pickups, Sheptone.com, and Von Frankenstein MusicGear.com for strings and all of that business. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. Check out our merch store, isbreakfast.bigcartel.com. Get yourself a shirt, buy yourself a friend a shirt, all that good stuff. All right, guys, I'm done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.